If you live with the person that filed a restraining order against you, you might be wondering what happens next. Well, here's the deal. So essentially, for the time being, you're not going to be able to go back to that residence. That might be your residence. You might be the person that owns the house, you pay the mortgage, or you might be the only person on the lease. And the person that filed that restraining order was just living with you either as a boyfriend or girlfriend or even as a fiance. But even with them not being on the lease or the mortgage, they're living there and there's a restraining order that's filed and granted, then you essentially are not able to go back to your own home. Now, let's start from the beginning. So you get a restraining order, or in Indiana, more commonly known as protective order, in the mail. The first thing you need to do is look at whether it was granted ex parte or the judge set for a hearing. If the judge grants it ex parte, what that means is the protective order goes into effect immediately, as soon as you see that piece of paper. Now, sometimes a judge will grant protective order petitions ex parte if they believe that there's an immediate threat of safety that can't wait till the time that it would take to get in front of a judge for a hearing. And that's why some are granted ex parte. Now, other petitions are set for a hearing, meaning the judge doesn't have enough evidence at the time to determine whether or not that petition for protective order should go into place. Usually those are set 30 to 45 days after you get notice of that in the mail, that there's a protective order petition that's been filed against you. If you see that it has been granted ex parte, you need to contact an attorney immediately, because there's a timeline for requesting a hearing to get this matter in front of the judge. If you do not meet that timeline, then the order for protection is going to stay in place for as long as the judge granted it. Typically, these last about 2 years. Now, you have a 30-day timeline to request a hearing for the matter to go in front of a judge, where you can argue, or better, your attorney can argue why this order for protection should not be granted and it should be dismissed. Now, a question I often get is, can I just evict the person out of my house? And the answer is yes and no. Eviction processes can take months, sometimes even years, to go from start to finish. And during that time, you're not going to be allowed to go back to your residence. So while this protective order is pending, or while you're waiting for a hearing in front of a judge, this may require you to go and live with someone else or find a new place to stay on your own. And that's going to create a lot of complications in your life. That's why it's extremely important that if you are served with a petition for a protective order, that you contact an attorney immediately, so that attorney can get in front of a judge and fight to get that protective order dismissed, so that you can return to your home and not have your life upheaved any more than it already has been. The longer you wait, the harder it's going to be for you in the long run. If you're facing a restraining order, please give us the Marc Lopez Law Firm a phone call, 317-632-3642. And always remember, plead.